see some power poses and some kind of core foundations of movement, all right? And these are a great thing to get warmed up with, get started, get your body going. So, when we stand, what we very rarely do is stand with just our legs together and our hands sort of on our hips or our hands down by our side. It is ever so rare that we will do that, okay? First of all, we never place our hands on our hips, because what that does is that sort of rounds off our shoulders and brings us into a bit of a slouch mode, okay? Instead, what we do is we take our hands from our hips up to our rib cage. And by bringing ourselves into our rib cage, what we instantly do is bring our shoulders back just a little bit more and make ourselves just a little bit more lifted, poised and presentable, okay? And you can have a play around that, don't have to take my word for it, see for yourself, yeah? So place your hands on your hips and, you know, maybe take a picture of yourself, see how your body posture is, and then just simply slide those hands up to the rib cage and see the difference, okay? So that's your first tip, how you hold your body and where you place your hands. So we're here, yeah, in just what we call resting position, hands on the rib cage. Again, we need to think about our legs, okay? You know, slouch there, slouch. Yeah, so we need to be up tall through our body. We've just pulled our body up. What you might like to do is bring the knee across. So you'll have your back leg just nice and steady, nice and straight, and then your front leg, as you're facing forward or as you're addressing people, you'll kind of just slightly bring it over and bring yourself up to a standing position. And that just gives you a really nice outline and presentation rather than just be stood there like that. Yeah? Now, sometimes with these little quirks of positions, we can get a little bit wobbly. So sometimes having the feet together, especially if we've got heels on, doesn't sit too well. We need a bit of practice with that. So what you can do is you can take the leg out to a point. You can take yourself and just over the shoulder, looking forward, yeah? Or when you're addressing people, or you're just casually standing, you're trying to create some presence, but a nice presence, you can just pop the leg out to the side, yeah? So that's another thing. Legs out to the side, lift up through the core and really hold yourself in that lifted body position. The other thing you can do is turn your feet out slightly. So, having one leg slightly turned out, so I'm going to use the back leg. Having my back leg slightly turned out and my front leg slightly turned out, so then I come through and I've got created a different position again. Yeah? So I'm not just standing there like that. Okay? I've created a bit of presence about myself. So I've got my back leg with my toes slightly turned out. My front leg comes in to meet. Okay? And then I still carry myself nice and high, but both my feet are flat on the ground. Whereas with this one, and I'm over, my heel was slightly lifted. So if I was a little bit unbalanced, yeah, that increases that potential. With here, both feet are flat on the ground. Okay? So, first of all, like I say, just have a little practice with standing and holding yourself. Your holding presence. Okay? So, have a little go with the hands on the waist and lift up to the rib cage. Then have a little go with standing with your leg positions, yeah? So take yourself from here to take yourself slightly turned out at the back, slightly turned across at the front, and lift up and have your leg over slightly. Then you could transition that, come back to the front, take the leg out to the side. You can then bring that back in a bit of a close, yeah? Put both feet down and bring yourself in another stance again, yeah? And these are really good things if you're taking photos as well, because if you can soften your gaze, so when you're holding yourself in that position, you can create another look in itself. So there you go, that's your first module, all right? Your first module, getting yourself in a nice, strong body position, and we call those the holding positions.